Next on our agenda is the superintendent's report. I was just getting ready to say, I think some Harbison West students probably have some homework to do. Thank you, parents, for helping us navigate this school by bringing your parents, or by bringing your children. Next is the superintendent's report. I'll turn it over to Dr. Melton.
Thank you, Ms. Hutchison. Board members, community, I'd like to, Ms. Bolin stepped out already, who recognized all of our winners, but we look forward to recognizing her very soon as well, because she too is an award winner that was in our publications just last week. So not only do we have excellence in our students' science work for class and in the classrooms under the direction of our teachers, we also have excellence at the district level leading our science and health curriculum and content. So we look forward to celebrating Ms. Bolin, but had she still been here, I would make sure that we would have embarrassed her, because she does not like spotlights herself. Secondly, I'd like to report to the community, just in case there's someone that didn't know, this afternoon we sent out a message to our students and our families and our staff, and also to our media outlets, about the cancellation of school on Wednesday for our students. It is always critically important that we are safe and focused on the safety of our students. I'd like to commend our faculty and staff and our administrators. Our faculty and staff have adhered to our board policies. They have gone through the process that we require to request approval. By them doing that, we have the opportunity to monitor numbers throughout the last several days. In fact, since last Tuesday, when Dr. Jakes was charged to continue to monitor our numbers, we've gone from morning and afternoon updates to hourly updates as recent as of today. So we made a very difficult decision that we're going to be closed for students on Wednesday to make sure that we have safety in all of our schools. But before we got to that point of decision making, for the community to know, that was not a quick decision that we made without much thought and preparation. We were prepared to have Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3 of plans to include district office coverage in our schools to make sure that all hands were truly on deck to make sure that our students were going to be safe on our school campuses on Wednesday. But due to the number of absences that we continue to monitor throughout the day today, we made a very difficult decision, but not difficult in some ways, because when it comes to looking towards the safety of students, I've said throughout the day, it's not a difficult decision. The difficult decision will be what happens next, because of course we're required to have certified staff who are contracted to work 190 days to then be employed teaching our students for 190 days. And because of our value on instruction, which you've seen tonight with our science recognitions, a lost day of instruction is a lost day of students having the opportunity to practice content and to experience curriculum. So that's a day you really can't recapture, but how might we situate that in the calendar should that day be needed to be made up for our students and our staff? So stay tuned for that. We hope that by now the message has made it out into the community, but we're very responsible with the decisions that we make, and we've done it very thoughtfully. I'd like to pause to thank all of our school administrators, particularly our principals, our district office staff, to include executive staff. I cannot thank these folks enough for their ongoing conversations. There are some principals that had 3 conference calls with us today. The executive staff have been with me since 9 a.m. this morning. That's a statement of itself. So I thank them for their work and their thoughtfulness, and we are always focused on what's best for our students. So please join me in thanking our principals and our district office staff, because without them we cannot be successful. Third, I would like to say we're going to be highlighting, in a sense, Saturday we had a very exciting day in School District 5. We hosted for the second time at Dutch Fork Elementary an Inquiry Matters conference that highlighted many of the practices from across School District 5. We had a variety of schools involved, but we also attracted schools as far away as North Carolina and as locally as neighbors of ours. So we drew an audience from across the area to celebrate inquiry practices. That day could not have been accomplished without our student nutrition, because we actually served breakfast as part of the conference cost. And we also had technology that was supportive for guests to be able to log in. Director Garris and some of her staff are here this evening, thanks to she and her team, and also thanks to Mr. Biedenbow and his team for student nutrition, because we made a true Chick-fil-A, although we didn't serve Chick-fil-A, we served School District 5 food. We made a true statement about what customer service is like to bring people in on a Saturday voluntarily to participate with Inquiry Matters. I'm very excited to say, while that conference was occurring at Dutch Fork Elementary, we also had a conference appropriate for secondary occurring at Irma Middle School. This was an inaugural. Oh, there's Miss Pascal. I can find her. Is that, no? Okay, she's trained you well, yes? This is an inaugural event, and so we were fortunate to highlight work samples from Irma Middle School and Irma High School, and this was an event that attracted people from across the state to come out to that event. I see many of the teachers here this evening that I saw there on Saturday. Thank you all for being there on Saturday and also coming back. And many of our teachers were involved directly with the presentations that we were able to offer to those that chose to visit. You're going to hear a little bit more about that this evening from some of our guests. So speaking of our guests, we have a distinguished line of visitors here with us this evening, and I'd like to start first with Dr. Tommy Hodges. Dr. Hodges is the Associate Dean from the University of South Carolina for Academic Affairs. To my left, to his right, is Dr. Cindy Van Buren. She'll be talking with you tonight about one of the programs that we're trying to highlight to make sure that the board and the community is involved with. Then we have Tamara Turner, who is one of our own, of course. She's become a video popular request of recent. So Ms. Turner is within our Human Resources Department as a coordinator under Dr. Jakes' supervision. Beside Ms. Turner, we have Ashley Lewis. We welcome her this evening. She is our number cruncher research expert, and she makes sure that what we do is valid and accurate and reliable so that the decisions that we make in partnership with the university, we can stand behind, that we've researched thoughtfully to make sure that these are best practices and can lead to positive results. Then we have what I'll call the Nicole Skinner, who has energy like the Energizer Bunny. Ms. Skinner is heavily involved with the Carolina TIP program that you'll be hearing about this evening. And then we have Dr. Shelley Curcio, who you've met before. Dr. Curcio will be here to update us on our professional development school district model so that you can have a direct report for that. So Mr. Giuliano is going to do the introduction of the two reports. Dr. Jakes is going to go first. Our first report is from the Office of Human Resources, so Dr. Jakes will do the report to introduce our Carolina TIP program. Dr. Jakes.
We're so excited about the program, and I'm so excited about getting you to hear from the people who know it best. I'd like to ask Nicole Skeen to come forward, Ashley Lewis to come forward from the University of South Carolina, and they will be cheered on by Dr. Tommy Hodges and Dr. Cindy Van Buren, and we'll invite our own Tamara Turner to get us started and to wrap us up.
Good evening. I'm going to welcome forward tonight Nicole Skeen. Nicole serves as the University Induction Coordinator for the Carolina TIP program that we're going to briefly talk with you about, and Dr. Ashley Lewis, if you would, okay. We want to briefly share some information with you about a unique partnership that School District 5 enjoys with the University of South Carolina around a program specifically geared to provide support to induction year teachers. That program is called Carolina TIP. The three of us had the opportunity to represent School District 5 and the University of South Carolina at a national conference in February. It was the 71st annual meeting for the American Association of Colleges for Teacher Education, and that conference occurred in Louisville, Kentucky, and we presented information to colleges from all across the nation on the collaborative relationship between District 5 and the University of South Carolina. I'm going to ask Mrs. Skeen to come forward and share briefly an overview of the Carolina TIP program.
Thank you. You're welcome. Tamara has proven to be a wonderful partner in the work that we're doing, and she did a wonderful job representing District 5 when we were in Louisville at AACTE. So we thank you for letting us work with her. There's a long-standing belief in the College of Education at the University of South Carolina that support for our graduates shouldn't end at graduation. And we had the perfect storm come together over the past 2.5 years, and under the leadership of Dr. Cindy Van Buren and Dr. Hodges and, of course, Dr. Dean Peterson, we were able to take this belief and turn it into an actual program where we were able to provide support for our teachers beyond the degree. And so Carolina TIP is designed to be a bridge to help our teachers transition from university student to teacher and leader in their own classroom. And we're able to do this by providing a variety of supports for them for the first 3 years of their career as a new teacher. We do work with our teachers in class. We are able to work with them and in group learning environments and build a community of teachers to help support them through that time. We have a group of very experienced, phenomenal Carolina coaches that work with the teachers in the program, and we're thrilled to be able to partner with District 5 in this. And last year, we saw the partnership expand and grow, and we look forward to seeing that growth continue. The nice thing about the partnership that we do have is that Carolina TIP is something that works in conjunction with the vital supports that the teachers receive from the schools and from the districts. And we do work very collaboratively and very carefully with our districts to make sure that we are providing the support that is needed and that our teachers need. And to talk more about our partnerships, I'm going to hand it back to the lovely Tamara.
What is unique about the approach that School District 5 shares with the University of South Carolina is the awareness of the teacher retention issue is present. Both institutions of higher education and districts have been working independently on resolving the problem. This is one of the first scenarios where districts have partnered with the university in order to strategically and collaboratively address the issue. This occurs in our district through a couple of steps. We have lunches or district luncheons that allow us to get together on a regular basis to collaborate, look at data, and also share our expertise on solutions. There's an advisory board that consists of university partners, as well as school level and district level administrators. And our role is to really support this initiative through the University of South Carolina in terms of looking at their data and providing feedback. To date, the participating schools are listed for you, and you'll also note that this is the second year of implementation of the program. Year one, we started with two teachers who have now moved on to year 2 of the program. And that number has increased so that 9 teachers at the school listed are now receiving structured support to encourage their recruitment, their retention, I'm going to invite Dr. Ashley Lewis up to talk to you briefly about what we know about the data so far as the impact of the program.
Hi, so as I mentioned, I am the data evaluation research person on the project, and so we're looking at a really wide variety of outcomes, but the most important ones that we're looking at, I just selected a few highlights here. One of them is teacher efficacy. We know that teacher efficacy is a big predictor of teachers staying in the classroom and being retained and continuing on to have successful careers. The data you're looking at now is from last year, from fall to spring. We now have one more data point. We will soon have 4 data points on this. But we see an increase on a 9-point scale of 1 point overall. I'll go ahead and tell you that has continued over the course of this year overall. Also increases in instructional strategies, classroom management, which has been a big focus of the project, and student engagement. So these are them increasing their feeling that they have influence over what happens in their classroom. Another thing we're looking at is job satisfaction. That also increased from fall to spring of last year, and those increases, again, have also continued. Finally, job stress. That's another big predictor that we see of teachers leaving the classroom. When teachers have high stress, they frequently leave the classroom, and one of the things that the program has attempted to address is teacher resiliency, teachers dealing with stress, the natural stress that comes along with being in the classroom. So we're seeing the job stress, as we would like, decrease. So those are some highlights. I'm going to have Tamara come back up and wrap us up.
We look forward to moving forward with the partnership that we share and the support provided to our, specifically for our first-year teachers through the Carolina Teacher Induction Program. Our district has been highlighted several times in the Dean's Digest. On your tables for you is the literature from the College of Education. Page 8 showcases information about the Carolina TIP program and features one of School District 5 Carolina TIP teachers. So that provides an opportunity for you to learn more about the program. Thank you so much.
Ms. Hutchison, that completes the Carolina TIP presentation, but I'm wondering if maybe we want to do the second one. There may be questions about either or both of them, so would you prefer questions at this point for Carolina Tip, or would you prefer we do both reports and then pose questions?
Let's do both reports.
Okay,
yeah.
all right. So next I'll move to Mr. Giuliano. He's going to do our introduction for our professional development school district that we're trying to work to create. Mr. Giuliano.
Thank you, Dr. Melton. Board members, I'd like to introduce you once again. She came and presented in the first half of the year, and she is back to give us an update on our PDSD, our Professional Development School District. This is Dr. Shelley Curcio. She's a clinical assistant professor in elementary education, but more importantly, she's our liaison for our PDSD, and we have a wonderful relationship working between the university and our school district. And Dr. Curcio is going to give us an update on the new initiatives and the updates on the previous ones that we've been taking place this school year. Dr. Curcio.
Yes, hello, Board of Trustees, Dr. Melton, Executive Board. It is lovely to be here again. I think back to September when I came and had the honor of getting to launch our PDSD model and our partnership. And today I'm coming to share with you what it is we've been doing since September and some of the work that we've engaged in within the district. So first and foremost, I'm here to share with you our Professional Development School District logo and tagline. And you might be thinking, wow, okay, this is really important because we want to make sure that who we are and our message is broadcast appropriately. And so I get to share with you today our logo, our PDSD logo, and our tagline, Partnering with Purpose. And we had the pleasure of being able to work with the graphic designer, thanks to Cindy Van Buren, and we had a variety of different options. And so we all sat around the table, and this really was a collective creative process in which I had sat with the designer and shared the visions that had come from our process. And so here we have today. You'll notice the colors are very intentional. You'll notice the colors represent both the university as well as the district, and that the university colors are on the outside and the district colors are on the inside. They're couched that way. Also, our tagline, Partnering with Purpose. We really wanted to ensure that our tagline represents the action, because this is about action and purpose. So this is the first thing that I wanted to share with you today is that logo. So stay tuned. You will see it out there. I'm just excited because I got a sweater with it. So when we go out and present, we get to represent who we are. Next are our goal updates. When I came in September, I shared with you all our vision. And so I put this vision up here again. And the key piece of this vision that's in red talks about to enhance the social, emotional, and physical well-being for students and staff to ultimately yield academic gains. So in order to help us attain this vision, we've been enacting some goals. So goal number 1 has to do with ensuring the emotional, social, and physical well-being of preschool-aged children, right? Starting at the beginning and working with our kiddos in preschool. But what's happened here in goal number 1 is Dr. Kate Aceta from the university has been working in partnership with Angie Slatton and Davita Price, and they have engaged in systematic professional development throughout this entire school year with all preschool-age teachers and assistants, both gen ed and special ed, so that they're going in and working with the teachers, but they're gaining this knowledge, and they've created this new flipped model of PD that's really been wonderful. What's been lovely is that they've kind of created a foundation now in the preschool-aged world, and we are now getting to build upon that foundation for goal number 2, in which we're going to then be able to move this vision into elementary, middle, and high school and beyond. So goal number 2, our coordinating council has been getting together, and this is where we're really beginning to conceptualize the action plan for this goal now. And we're getting a small group together to really move forward. I'm meeting with Mr. Giuliano next week, and we're gonna be really beginning to tease out what's the work of goal number 2 going to look like next year. So stay tuned, because there will be updates on that in the future. Finally, our third goal is this collaborative partnership with relationship to the Inquiry Matters Conference that Dr. Melton mentioned. So Inquiry Matters Conference began years ago under the guidance of Dr. Heidi Mills from the university. Last year, as was stated, it was held at Dutch Fork Elementary School, and it was always an elementary thing. And so Dr. Melton attended and she said, what if we work together and create 2 parallel conferences and open this up to our secondary folk, our middle and secondary level? So I had the pleasure of getting to work with the wonderful Cassie Pascal at Irma Middle School and her amazing staff. I cannot give them enough shout outs. And then Heidi Mills worked with Julius at Dutch Fork Elementary. And we really worked in tandem side by side. So we've held, I think it was the 8th annual of the elementary, and we held our first inaugural secondary conference. Overall, there were participants from within the district, from in the Midlands, and without in the state. And like we said, at elementary, there were individuals from North Carolina who came to learn from the great work we have going on here. There were hundreds of teacher candidates, hundreds of teachers and administrators at both of these conferences. Overall, between the 2 sites, we had about 300 participants, which is what a powerful experience on a Saturday morning to come and learn about the power of inquiry in the classroom to enhance teaching and learning. Presentations spanned across content areas, looking at how we can use inquiry as a tool for teaching in the classroom, as well as how we can use it as a professional development model for ourselves, job-embedded professional development to enhance our knowledge collectively. So it was wonderful. I cannot wait to begin the planning for next year because we have amazing ideas to move us forward as we continue this tradition of partnership with this conference, because it was hosted by District 5 as well as our partnership, our professional development school network. So I can't thank everyone enough for allowing us to get to do this and have this experience. Finally, as we have progressed and are just really engaged in this work, we've had the opportunity to already begin to share what we're doing nationwide. So in February, myself, Dr. Melton, and Dr. Kate Aceta, we presented on establishing our partnership at the National Association of Professional Development Schools Conference in Atlanta. So the 3 of us got to present that together. And then just, I believe it was last week or the week before, Dr. Aceta, Angie Slatton, and Davita Price presented at the Southeast School Behavior Health Conference on the work they're doing with goal number 1 in early childhood and the work they're doing related to the social emotional health of our early childhood teachers and students. Also, Dr. Aceta and I got to write a publication, and that is going to be in press in June, and it also is sharing the establishment of our partnership and talks about the work that's going on with them in goal number 1. So when that is out in June, we will make sure that all of you get a copy of it so that you can read just more about the wonderful things that are going on in partnership here. So with that, we are partnering with purpose. It was a pleasure to get to share this update with you, and I look forward to getting to come back again and to share more information.
Dr. Curcio, if you'll stay there, and Nicole, Ms. Skeen, if you'll come back, just in case there's some Carolina tip questions that'd like to be posed, or either Dr. Van Buren, whichever is more appropriate. So if the board were to have any questions, we don't have to have transition time going to and from the microphone would be helpful.
Okay, well, let's, excellent reports. Do we have any questions? We'll start with the first one with the tip report. Ms. Hammond.
I wanted to see first how, I think I wrote it down, there were 7 schools, and I'm sure this is so wonderful. We'd like to have all schools. Was it a certain number you needed to start with, and how did you choose the schools?
Yes, ma'am. We're moving strategically, that we want to make sure that we are meeting the needs of our districts, our schools, and our students, and our teachers, sorry. And so we are working strategically. And as we talk about the PDSD, we started the program within our professional development schools. They are long-standing, deep partnerships in those schools, so that is where we were able to begin. And with the feedback and help from the district after a successful exploratory year, we worked with our district partners on this project and were able to identify some additional schools that we were able to add for this iteration of the program. And when we were able to find more and available funding and sustainable funding, our most urgent and immediate goal in the program is to become district-wide in the 5 districts that we are currently serving.
So it's pretty much a matter of funding how many we can take
Yes,
on.
ma'am.
It's great.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions about either the tip or for the PDSD? Yes, Ms. Hammond.
As a teacher, this is very interesting to me, and I applaud it. One of mine, I wanted to ask you, I understand the inquiry method and how that enhances curriculum. I wanted to see, how do you measure, and I wanted to read your own words, but in other words, the emotional and the evidence-based related to social, emotional, and physical well-being of students and staff in the educational environment. That is just so important. I mean, I know if you're a teacher in here or an administrator, you know there's children come to us with so many different backgrounds, and it's so important to interrelate socially, feel good about themselves, self-image, but so much comes from the home and the parent, you know, so we don't control everything. So I'm very interested in what are some of the methods we're using that we're seeing results in to ensure that in the environment, in the educational environment.
So specifically, Dr. Aceta, who is working with the early childhood group, they actually have a tool. It's a measurable tool called, it's called the teapot, I believe. That's what I always hear, with relationship to a pyramid model. And so Dr. Aceta has been trained from the state model, and so now she's able to bring all of that information here to our district teachers. And so every teacher who participates with her work is going to be trained on how to administer this teapot, and it's looking specifically at the social emotional growth. And then we're going to be able, like we said, to work with that foundation. I'm working very closely with her to try and figure out how we can then transition that or something similar, because that's very early childhood oriented, but something similar then as we progress into moving into elementaries, middles, and high schools.
Well, I love that because we, as a board, have committed some money to mental health, and that's so important because it goes with drug abuse and with all kind of emotional problems. And I am so excited to think we've got a tool to start identifying this and then giving some, because teachers sometimes feel so overwhelmed. I mean, you've got to teach the curriculum, you've got to teach the facts, but they see these needs in their children.
Yeah.
So this is another tool to go with mental health.
Ms. Hammond, if I may add to Dr. Curcio's response, the staff likely will chuckle, but these goals were intentional. And because they are intentional, all these 3 goals are aligned with my priorities and also with the goals that the board approved of mine for this year. So just for the community to be aware and the board to be reminded, this PDSD is the first of its kind in the nation.
I know it's exciting.
So these goals we've done together in partnership. They've not been prescribed nor adopted from another place. Dr. Van Buren is one of our originators to help us get this off the ground and get it going. Dr. Hodges has been nothing but supportive. And as we prepare for the event this evening to get you all prepared, Dean Peterson, the Dean of the College of Education, sent an email of regrets that he couldn't be here during such a busy time of the College of Education. So that just is indicative of the kind of support that we have at the university with great people that are qualified and committed to the support of our teachers and our staff. I see some Harbison West preschool teachers up in the audience. I want to ask them to come down and take the microphone to explain this model, but I know any of them could and probably could pull the Google Classroom up as well. So, Ms. Hammond, you can identify some faces that we can hook you up if you want to learn a little bit more, because these teachers have invested and their assistants have invested. And I'd like to say for Dr. Aceta, who isn't here this evening, she's listened. When we first pitched this idea, it wasn't working for them. They were honest enough to give us feedback, so then we were responsive enough to then respond. So I celebrate the relationship she's already created and how she has come in and really fit into the District 5 culture. But it goes back to our teachers and their willingness to be open and honest with us so we can be supportive of their needs to better reach our students' needs. Any other questions?
Any other questions? Thank you, and thank you to the College of Education and all of those people here in the district and the College of Education for making this get off to a great start. And I do love the tagline, partnering with a purpose, and that makes great sense. So thank you for everything all of you have done.
Next up for the superintendent's report, poor Mr. Richardson always has to follow reports and presentations like that. But Mr. Richardson, we have no doubt that you can't be just as engaging as the previous two. So Mr. Richardson is next up this evening from the Office of Finance.
Thank you, Dr. Melton. Now it's going to be hard to live up to that. But anyway, in Exhibit C of your board package, you have the financial reports, the monthly financial reports for the months of February and March of 2019, which puts us 75% through the year. In this report, you'll see revenues for the month. They are $21,279,288. And expenditures for the month are $29,141,988. $495,293. And for the year, we've collected $142,492,337, and we have expended $120,167,981. Dr. Melton, that concludes my report, but I'd be glad to try to answer any questions.
Yes, Mr. Lovelace.
Mr. Richardson, under line item 231, the Board of Education, and I've noticed this several times, and we have at this juncture, and that's where I think the Board of Trustees expenditures are, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, just a quick, I see that there's a couple of big drivers in there that are in the negative. One of them is salaries. Is that because we added somebody after the budget was done last year, or?
No, sir, I don't.
It's
Just
on page-
anything above the 231 Board of Education is board, you're actually looking at the superintendent's office.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's no
Okay.
problem.
But is that because we added somebody where it had the,
In that particular case, there was a person added that we had not budgeted in that particular position. We just
Yeah.
haven't transferred the salary with the position.
that's what I thought, but I saw that on several of these, and I just, wanted to ask that question.
Yes,
and,
sir. That was it.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions for Mr. Richardson?